Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We will start from some consideration of designing a student hub. And then after that, I will show you several best practices of a student hub in the world. Let's start with our first uh, thing. What is a student hub? Actually, a student hub is a shared campus space for students to study, meet, collaborate, and relax outside the classroom. Uh, in my time when I was studying at the United States, I'm having one place called Student Center. But I think that's also the student hub, maybe the early thing that uh, goes to the student hub. It combines multiple functions, study areas, social spaces, student services, and event areas. And it would support both academic activities and informal social interaction. It will help build student community and collaboration, and it would enhance the overall campus experience and sense of belonging. Uh, Programmatically, I would say that it should be located near the campus pine or near the plaza, and there would be a social lounge, there would be a cafe, food and beverages, there would be a collaborative study, there would be an informal study, a place for quiet study, and also for wellness and counseling. And there would be some meeting rooms at that place, and also event or multi-purpose areas and areas for student activities and student organization offices. So we would go to the 10 design considerations. First, why it exists. Is it for learning support? Is it for student life, innovation, or well-being? Is it formal or informal? Is it a destination or a daily pass-through? So at the right side, we would see the John Hopkins Student Center. It has several floor in several areas, but actually it would be connected with some circulational space. A strong student hub usually becomes the heart of campus, not just another facility. The second, users and behaviors. Who and how? Is it for individual study? Is it for group work? Is it for socializing and waiting? Is it for events, clubs, performances, or support services? But we must remember that the design would be for choice and freedom, not for rigid programming. At the right-hand side, we would see the Victoria University campus hub at New Zealand that has many things in one space. And then the third, program and spatial mix. What spaces? Flexible study areas, informal lounges, meeting and discussion rooms, event and multipurpose hall, student organization spaces, food and beverages, or quiet retreat. We have the North Carolina State University at the right-hand side, and we would see there would be several books, like a library, and there would be a, a space that people could see another people, and people could be seen by another people, and we could study, we could do anything over there. But please avoid overzoning. Please blur the boundaries. The fourth would be flexibility and adaptability. It should be future proofing with modular furniture, non-fixed partitions, large span structures, and neutral grids that allows reprogramming. And you can ask yourself, can this space host 5 different activities in one day? If the answer is yes, then it would be okay. If no, no. We should try to reprogramming it again. We could see at the right-hand side the Victoria University Campus Hub. Below would be a place for students in informal seatings, and above would be the students with formal studying. The fifth would be the spatial experience and atmosphere. It should be welcoming, not institutional. It should be energetic, but not chaotic. It should be comfortable for long stays. So natural light and ventilation is a must. Acoustic tuning would be a must. That we would have a noisy space and also a silent space and a place that may be in between those two. And we should have a visual connectivity. People like to see and to be seen. Even someone who working or studying alone, they should feel that they are not alone, really alone in that space. And we could have also another things like materials that maybe we could use warm materials to make it warmer. At the right-hand side, we see the Harvard Student Center. And please look at the space upstairs and the space downstairs. Uh, we could see each other, we could be seen by another, and we could still work by our own work. The sixth would be circulation and connectivity. It should sit on major pedestrian flows, clear and intuitive. Vertical circulation should be also serve as social space, uh, be it trams, be it social stairs, and it should connect indoor and outdoor spaces. A student hub would work best when people pass through it even without intention. So if we could go to another place and then we pass it, and then we could see, there is something interesting here. That would be a place that would good for student hub. The seven would be technology and infrastructure. It should have a strong Wi-Fi everywhere. It should have charging points at every seating, so not in just one or two place, but in every seat at every seating we could have charging points. It should also have the screens for collaboration and events. The screens could be in some places that should not distract between one and another, and it should have a hybrid learning readiness. Technology should be infused, not visible. And then the eighth would be the inclusivity and well-beingness. It should be accessible for all abilities. For example, if I played football and then I get hurt, maybe I could temporarily disabled. So I still should could go to every place at that area. It should have safe spaces for neurodiverse students. It also should gender inclusive facilities, not only for male and female, but maybe also uh, people in between. Clear sightlines for safety, so everyone should be, we could see everyone at every place, so that there should not be any place that would be hidden, because a hidden place could be used for other activities, for other negative activities. For example, people who maybe drink too much or maybe do some junks and other things. And comfortable lighting and acoustics would be very good for it. Well-being is a must, no longer optional. Next is the, pardon. Ah, Next would be the urban and campus context. How does it relate to surrounding buildings? Can it act as a campus landmark, please see the John Hopkins Student Center at the right side. It was built on a hill, on a hilly terrain, so that the lower part could be the entrance, and then it would go up and up and up, and we could see that there are some spaces on every terrain that the hill has. Does it activate urban space? Many successful student hubs feel like mini urban centers. And then the last one would be sustainability, but make it meaningful. The passive design first, and then the durable, low maintenance materials. We don't need any high maintenance materials, and we don't need anything that maybe in 1 or 2 days it would be broken or getting something that not good. Spaces that encourage social sustainability, day, night, and weekdays usability. Okay, don't design rooms, but design relationships between students, activities, and ideas. So actually, the space could flow between one and another. The space could be we could give any connectivity between one space and another, and that would be the essence of it. So next, I will speak about the uh, case study. First, let us look at the Meiji University, the Izumi Learning Square at Japan. Uh, let's see at some boxes upstairs and some boxes downstairs. And let's see how we could see everybody from this point of view. That someone study hard on upstairs, and someone may be talking with another student, and someone may be taking the stairs going up, and other things. And please make it live, make it nice, make it full of light, make it more recreational, and make it playful. Actually, it was built from this. The first structure is designed by Sutemi Horiguchi, a pioneer of Japan's first modern architecture movement in 1960. And then it would be rebuilt again in 2022, like the one below. So we could see that even an old building could be remodeled into a new building, into something that more lively, more that having some spirits in it, that also still keep the spirit of the old building. And let's see the old in the left-hand side and the new one on the right-hand side. Please also see the thin pillars. The thin pillars uh, would make it more light and more accessible from every place. In contrary with the massive columns at the left-hand side. And also, please see the hidden support. Apart from the pillars, we also actually have another support from the slabs that vertically being built to support uh, the horizontal slab above. And then please see how the light and see-through look that connects the glass terraces to the campus at the right-hand side. Over there, you could see that it becomes something that more interesting and more modern for us. And it would also have something in common with the environment. It would also has the visual connectivity between one area to another area. Maybe there still would be some area that would need more circulation, like the picture at the left hand side is the old area, but at the right hand side we have the connection would be not being pushed into one area, but it would be informally going from one place to another and then to another again. And we could see the boxes here and there with a contrast color. So before at the left, we have the traditional rigid lecture halls, but on the right, we have multi-layered learning commons for active engagements. And then the second case would be at the Harvard University, the Smith Campus Center at the United States. We could see here the multiple level, and the multiple level are being connected with the very big staircase, and it also being connected with some uh, ramps and others. And it looks like it would be hanging by some cables from upstairs, from the uh, structure at the top, and then we could see that it's like hanging from the top, and that would make the atmosphere in there. It's also actually from the old building, from Jose Luis Hurt on 1960 again. But they would strip away heavy concrete screens to make some lighter, more transparent street level presence. Please look at the street level and please look at the upper level. At the upper level, we could still have the feel of the Jose Luis Hart design, but at the street level, it would be more lively, more living, more playful. And then please look at the social multiplicity from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. That Jose Luis Sert has already made some magnificent space, but now it would be more lively because we could give them several several trees, several greeneries, and areas that would connect with the people over there. And the multi-level space would give spontaneous gathering and large-scale events. It also would have the biophilic integration, reinvent the ivy-covered walls with a 20-foot tall internal living walls that improve air quality and bring the landscape indoors. And it also gives the civic transparency. So the the building would have transparency at the street level. Maybe we could build it on two levels, and then the other place still could be like before. And then the last one is the Johns Hopkins University. It's another university in the United States that built on a hill that we could see the entrance below at the lower part of the hill, but it would go ascend to the upper part of the hill. So the building would be cut into several pieces, and then several pieces would be arranged again at the hill. So it It could look like a cascading village, organizes the building into a climbing village of 29 mass pavilions that step down 9-meter slope. So actually that would be about between 2 to 3 story high to connect the campus with the city. And then the interior would be with the warmth of the mass timber, replaces traditional steel with exposed wood columns and acoustic timber ceilings to create a tactile, natural, and carbon-friendly interior. And on the roof, they placed a solar roofscape with nearly about 1,000 solar panels that generate roughly half of the building electricity. It would be the LEED platinum status. Yeah, the result would be a transparent mosaic of public life on full display. We could see it on urban area. So that's some considerations and some best practices of designing a student hub. Hopefully, you could get what would be important from it, and then hopefully you could get some ideas of how to do your design. Uh, the file have been uploaded to your Google, yeah, storage, and then you could have some uh, access to the file. Okay, maybe that's for now. So I would give it back to Mr. Subhan Rabdani. Thank you, and
Thank you, Mr.
have a
Adi.
very nice afternoon.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Adi, for sharing
Mhm.
the knowledge. And student, please ask a question for Mr. Adi. Mr. Adi is the senior lecturer in architecture Universitas Gajah Mada, and you have a gold apa ini apa time to ask for to Mr. Adi Utomo, and maybe please some student give some question maybe. Oke, Al,
Okay.
langsung aja Al.
Thank you for the time. I want
Mhm.
to ask something. I've searched something that
Mhm.
sometimes student hub is not a new building. I mean, like
Mhm.
sometimes it could be in a building that is already exists. So, what
Yes.
is the big differences if we're making something inside a building and a
Mhm.
new building? Like, what should
Mhm.
we prepare most, or what should we highlight, or
Mhm.
anything? Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. That's a very interesting question. I think if you have an existing building, you must see the existing building spirit. I mean, what would be the old architect want to do with that building? Like what we see, Jose Luis Sert has okay, this is my design statement. And also the same with the Japanese student hub. They would make a design statement like that. But you could alter it with another things that would be more modern, that would be more lively, that would be more playful for your student hub. Because the era of 1960 and the era of 2020, 2030 would certainly be different. And the difference would need us to make some interpretation of it. But please don't just ruin the building and then broke it all. But please maybe make some adjustment of it so that it still could be seen as old things that could be rebirth, reborn. Thank you.
Okay. How come? Al, is it
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. Okay, Pak. I got it.
Okay, okay. Okay, next student, next question maybe. Maybe you can relate it with maybe some system organization, space organization, maybe the circulation, or maybe some activities maybe you have to know. Okay,
It's
Mr.
time
Adi,
for Pak. Yeah.
maybe some student so weak because it's some 4 minutes to it
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
iftar iftar. Okay.
Mhm.
So we will thank you to Mr. Adi for the
Thank you
time
very
and
much.
for sharing
Yeah.
knowledge.
Mhm. Mhm.
And thank you for time. And maybe we can meet again
Mhm.
in next time. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Adi.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
Thank you very
for all
much.
students. Have a nice day and also have a nice iftar very soon. And please make some lively, some playful word of it. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you, Pak Adi. Thank you.